Hello awesome students, myself Dr. Maddineni Srinivas, your dermatology faculty. So in this video we are going to look at Stevens-Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrolysis, which are life-threatening mucocutaneous reactions because of the drugs. Okay, so here you can see these are the questions which are asked related to SJS and also related to the toxic epidermal necrolysis. Very important theory point of view, and also practically it's very important. When you go into your internship, you might get a chance to see these kind of patients in your casualty posting, so have a thorough knowledge about this. So these are my references and also standard dermatology textbooks. So Stevens-Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrolysis, which are in short called as SJS and TN, they are very rare and they are fatal conditions which will affect mucosa and also skin. And remember, the trigger for both of them is 90% of the time various medications. So what are all those medications? We'll see a list of them. Okay, and even infections could be a trigger for them. And primarily we are going to classify depending upon how much extent of the epidermis is detached from the skin. Yes, you heard it right. Literally the patients are going to have a skin which is detached. So if the detachment is less than 10%, we categorize the patients as Stevens-Johnson syndrome. But if it is more than 30%, we categorize them as TEN, toxic epidermal necrolysis. Remember students, TEN is also called as Lyell's syndrome. It is also called as Lyell's syndrome. So in the exam, instead of TEN, even Lyell syndrome may also be mentioned. So both these conditions are characterized by widespread epidermal necrosis. So necrosis is going to happen, and in the epidermis, remember these cells which are the keratinocytes, which form almost 85 to 90% of the cell population, they are going to undergo necrosis, leading to sloughing of the skin. Along with the significant systemic involvement also will be there. What is the systemic involvement? We will see that. And the mortality rates can range from 1 to 5% in SJS and up to 30% in the patients of toxic epidermal necrolysis. So very important fatal condition which you need to remember. And like I have told you, drugs are the most common triggers. And what are all those medications? Anti-gout agents, allopurinol, antibiotics, sulfonamides, penicillin, cephalosporins and fluoroquinolones, anti-epileptics, phenytoin, carbamazepine, sodium valproate, lamotrigine. In the NSAIDs, you can remember ibuprofen, paroxysm. And also infections like, for example, bacterial mycoplasma pneumoniae can also act as triggering etiological factors for SJS and TN. Some rare triggers, 1 or 2 you can remember, but remember most important is medications. So here you can remember any herbal medicine or certain foods also could lead to SJS and TN. Coming to the pathophysiology, basically in both these conditions there is going to be massive keratinocytic apoptosis due to complex immune response. So you need not know the intricate details of this, just remember there is going to be keratinocyte apoptosis and also keratinocyte necrosis. So just briefly remember, cytotoxic T cells are going to release the granzyme and perforins. These are going to trigger the epidermal necrosis. That's all. This much if you can remember, that's more than sufficient. This is going to result in ultimate detachment of the epidermis, causing the loss of the skin's barrier function. Remember students, skin is the largest organ of the body and it is going to mainly have barrier function, which will prevent any infections to enter the body, and also it will prevent any unnecessary loss of the water from the body to the environment. So because the skin is being damaged, these two are going to be deranged, because of which the clinical features are going to be seen. And coming to the clinical features of Stevens-Johnson syndrome. So remember students, there will be prodromal symptoms. The patients after intake of the medication which is responsible for producing SJS, they are going to have some kind of fever, malaise, sore throat, okay, and after which there is going to be skin lesions developing. What are those skin lesions? There can be erythema noticed over few body areas, and there can be purpuric macules due to the RBC extravasation. There can be purpuric macules which can be seen over the body, and ultimately there is going to be blistering, and finally there is going to be epidermal detachment. So here in the images you can see there is a lesion which is looking erythematous, So you can look at this picture where you are able to see the erythema is becoming more and more diffuse, and you can also see there are blisters also present over the body. Blisters are also present. So in the next picture I will show you how the epidermal detachment looks like. So symmetrical distribution can be noted. Almost entire body is going to be affected because of this. Okay, and beginning on the face and finally thorax and also entire body can be affected. Now coming to the interesting involvement, mucosal involvement. Remember, mucosal involvement is going to be very severe. So even that is eyes ocular involvement can also be there. Redness, you can see edema, photophobia, and in the oral cavity there can be painful erosions and also pain. The crusting can also be noted. So what is this crusting? Crusting is the dried up serum pus or blood which can be seen over the body. Okay, that is the egg crusting. And genital involvement can also be there, which can lead to the hemorrhagic lesions over the genitalia and also dysuria, difficulty in passing the urine. So now coming to TEN, toxic epidermal necrolysis. So remember, features will be similar to SJS, but the severity is going to be more. So it is more than 30% body surface area involvement. Remember, there is one sign which can be seen here. It is called as, so specifically you can remember it is called as pseudo-Nikolsky, but for your exam point of view, yeah, if you can even remember Nikolsky, that is also fine, but specifically it is called pseudo-Nikolsky sign, in which what happens, because of the underlying keratinocytic apoptosis and necrosis, there is going to be easy detachment of the epidermis from the underlying dermis. Okay, so this separation, easy separation of the epidermis on just a slight pressure, the tangential pressure on the skin, it is called as pseudo-Nikolsky sign. So here you are able to see this pseudo-Nikolsky sign, where the epidermis is peeling off from the underlying dermis. Now coming to the interesting part, even systemic involvement can also be there. This is not just confined to mucosa and skin, even systems can also be affected. So what can be the involvement? Respiratory system, the patients can have pneumonia, pulmonary edema. Okay, renal, there can be proteinuria, hematuria, and acute kidney injury. Gastrointestinal, diarrhea, malabsorption, and hematologically there can be anemia, neutropenia. Because of this immune response, there can be also destruction of the hematological cells. So because of which this anemia and neutropenia can occur. And in the final part, remember sepsis, which is the most important cause for the mortality, death of the individuals. So here these are some of the other images where you are able to see there is the separation of the epidermis from the underlying dermis. So very severe condition. The patient is going to be very toxic looking. That is the reason why it is called as toxic epidermal necrosis. So if at any of this point you have felt that the video was helpful, please do hit that like button. Okay, we are going to continue the discussion. What are the investigations which we can perform? Basically, Stevens-Johnson syndrome and TEN, these are clinical diagnosis. So no investigation is needed for the diagnosis per se, but yeah, definitely for the systemic involvement we can do, for identification of the anemia and neutropenia. The blood smear can be taken and also blood count can be done. And apart from that, even liver enzymes can also be evaluated. This is very important. So SGOT, SGPT levels also can be done. If you are having any doubt, skin biopsy can also be written. Okay, immunofluorescence, you can send the patient's skin biopsy sample for DIF, and it is going to be negative because it is not it is not because of the autoimmune blistering diseases, like for example, pemphigus, bullous pemphigoid, dermatitis herpetiformis. So in this condition, it is not the autoimmunity where there are going to be auto antibodies which will be seen. Okay, it is because of the cytotoxic T cells which are releasing certain molecules. Okay, like for example granulose, and not because of the auto antibody. So we are not going to see DIF being positive. And what are the differential diagnosis? So in the initial manifestation, there is going to be mild target lesion like appearance over the body here and there. So even erythema multiforme could be one of the differential diagnosis. And so minor drug induced rash, maculopapular rash is very commonly seen. Okay, so these two are important for you to know. Coming to the management, remember students, the patients are going to be managed very aggressively. So first thing is admit the patient, tell about the prognosis to the patient and their attender, and also immediate cessation of the causative drug is very crucial for saving these patients. supportive care, and the patient should be treated as if the patient is of a burns patient. Very, very important. Measures have to be taken because of the absence of the skin. The patients are very, very vulnerable to infections, because of which sepsis can happen, and also there can be possible electrolyte imbalance. So the treatment is going to be very, very aggressive and also very, very specific. What is the specific? Fluid and electrolyte balance. If it is not maintained, they can die, they can succumb. So you should take care of that they are not dehydrating and they are not having any hypovolemia, because of which blood pressure fluctuations may happen. Topically, what we can do to prevent any infection, superadded infection, silver impregnated nanocrystalline gauzes can be used for mucosa, because the patients are going to have very bad erosions and ulcerations. We can use certain mouthwashes because they cannot brush their teeth, and also topical anesthetics for the relief of the pain. Systemically, what is the treatment which we usually prefer is giving intravenous immunoglobulins, and there is a different school of thoughts regarding the systemic corticosteroids, but remember, for your level, avoid corticosteroids is what is going to be the better answer. So what are the possible complications? So to avoid these complications, systemic involvement, we have already seen how much even pulmonary edema and can also happen. So to prevent all those things, we can have like early detection and management of the infections is very, very crucial. So that is the reason why blood counts are also important to identify any possible septicemia, and also systemic antibiotics, but remember, only when the infection is confirmed. And what is the reason for this? Because SJS and TN, if the patient developed SJS and TN because of NSAIDs, for example, there is also a possibility that can be a cross reactivity of these antibiotics to that NSAID and produce the severe SJS and TN once the systemic antibiotics are started. So it is like the patient took some medication, NSAIDs, and came for the treatment. So we have just given unnecessary systemic antibiotics even without any indication, then there is a possibility that the severity of the condition may even aggravate and the patient may die. So only when it is required, we have to give the systemic antibiotics. And what is the prognosis? Like I have already told you, SJS mortality 1 to 5%, TN up to 30%. So please counsel the patients and also the neighbors and also the near and dear ones, because they are the ones who are going to be very, very vulnerable, because they may think that there is only simple medication because of which small rash occurred initially, but it has become more severe as the time goes on. Okay, prognosis depends on early identification. Stoppage of the cessation of the drug is very, very crucial, and of course the supportive care is also very, very crucial. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. Please do hit that like button and do write whatever is exactly asked. Don't try to add on your unnecessary points, because of which the examiner may get irritated. Okay, I've seen students writing all the possible causes of this SJS and TN. So some of them have written that it is due to Staphylococcus aureus infection, which is producing the skin detachment. So if you are only sure of what you have read, then only you try to answer. Otherwise, don't try to write some rubbish and all. Okay, the examiner may get irritated and they may give you less marks. So that's it in this student. So please do hit that like button and also do subscribe if this video is helpful, and also do read this in the textbooks or in the standard books, and also do try to what we can say discuss with your friends, or share this video, or at least discuss this topic after you have seen this video, so that it is going to be in your memory till the exam. And also it is also important for your NEET and INSET FMGE exams, so that is also going to be taken care of. Okay, thank you so much students. Happy learning, all the very best, and we'll meet in the next video. Till then, Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanam, Sarve Jana Sukhna Bhavantu. Thank you so much.